Hello again, Jeff Green here with another market timing, market analysis update in preparation for week 4, which starts January 24th, 2022. So please like, share, and subscribe these videos. If you will, that would help me out. I'd greatly appreciate it. So we're going to take a look at the 3 major indexes, which is what's shown on the screen at the present time. And then we'll switch to a broader market index. We'll take a look at what a bottom might look like and what to watch for to see if an uptrend is starting. And then we'll go through the stocks watch list, top stocks watch list. There aren't that many on there but for this week, but the stocks that are there are still showing bullish tendencies. So let's jump into the 3 major averages here. Let me get a pen. I don't need to tell anybody what a disastrous week this has been. If you watch these videos regularly, you would have started taking profits in right around Thanksgiving, certainly by the beginning part of December. You know, if you look at the Qs, they've been rotten since this point here and this buy in here. But basically, there's nothing bullish about these charts at all. Everything is pointing down. Don't need to say much more about that. The Dow just burned past the 50-day moving average and the 200. 200-day moving average is an important average for institutions. Generally, they start to throw in the towel once stocks are below the 200-day moving average. And you can see it just burned through every one of them. There's the SPY, and here are the biggest technology stocks. What's really concerning me here is the amount of selling volume on all these indexes. You know, one of the things that indicates a bottom, typically called a capitulation day, you might have heard that saying, is very high volume on a sharp low day. Now, you could consider this a capitulation day, and it might well be. I'm not sure that it's the last capitulation day, but we'll talk on the next slide here about how to recognize a potential bottom and start of a new uptrend in the stock market. So let me erase all these scratches here, and I'll make this chart go away. And this is the VTI. And everybody who watches me on these videos know that I like to look at the broad market. I like to look at the average, the advanced decline line to sort of see what's going on here. And you can see there's no difference on the broad market. Huge selling weeks from this doji here through last week, and then more selling here. I do have a line of support that prices are resting on right now. Again, there's the 200-day moving average for the broad market. That's pretty dismal. Huge selling. The advanced decline line just has not been managed to get above this 9-day moving average. So you can see it took a big sharp downturn last week or Friday also. So let's talk about a little bit about what might a bottom look like. Let me get rid of all these again. We'll get my pen back. So what a bottom might look like. What we need to do here is, in order to start a new uptrend, we've got to get past this downtrend line here. We're at support. We might get a bounce next week. We might start heading up towards that uptrend line. Now, whether it makes it or not, I don't know. Whether it continues down remains to be seen. But if we're going to have a bottom here, we're going to have to start making encroachments on this downtrend line. One day does not make a trend, so if we get a big up day on Monday or Tuesday, I suggest you be very cautious until we close somewhere above this trend line here. What you need is a move up and then a higher bottom. We got to make a low that's higher than this low here to even indicate that we could make it up to this trend line. So that's what we're looking for this week. As you can see, I don't need to belabor the point again, but you got huge selling volume. You got a MACD that's accelerating to the down direction. You got, I'm sorry, that's the MACD. You got on-balance volume that's moving down, an advanced decline line that's just comatose, if you ask me. And then you've got a minus DI above the plus DI, which is very bearish. In addition, the DMI or the ADX indicator is showing an increasing strength to the downside. If you look at the ADX number, which is reflected by this number over here, 2342, anything above 20, especially on a broad market, is an increasing strength in whatever trend is currently in place. So this is another nervous sort of thing to look at. So that's a little bit about what to watch for a bottom. My suggestion is you keep your cash on the sidelines, keep your ammunition dry for an uptrend that will start, but I'm not sure exactly when. There's so many economic things to consider here that it's hard to even predict what's going to happen. So let's talk about the stock watch list for this week. This is week 4's stock watch list. You can see over here, this is the, let me get my pen back. This is the industry that these top stocks are in. These are still, even though they're in sort of a bearish sort of mode on the days, the weeks are still kind of strong. The ADX on most of these are kind of strong, which indicates they're still in a pretty strong uptrend. But you can see what's happened here. The banks are still hanging in there. Utilities, which is a defensive sort of play. Food products, they were on last week, defensive also. But you can check out the oil and gas consumables. These guys here right now have been printing money for about 2 or 3 months, at least if memory serves. I have to go back and look at some of the charts. But this reflects just the absolute inflation that's going on in our economy. The last number I saw for inflation was around 7%. And that's after the government has stripped out oil and food. So if you add those back in, we're approaching, the last article I read was like 35 or 40% per year. And everybody knows you cannot stop buying gas for your car, and you cannot stop eating. So if with an inflation of 40%, to me that's hyperinflation and totally out of control. I think the Fed's got a big problem, and who knows where this economy is going to end up. What's interesting about this week is that last week, if I remember correctly, there was about a dozen semiconductors. Maybe it was the week before. But you can see that they now have reduced down to one semiconductor on this list. Be careful here because we have earnings on 1/26. And earnings announcements have not been very good for stocks. What's happened is most companies on top stocks lists, on this list especially, have beaten earnings, some by quite an amount. But the problem is when you get to the projections by upper management, they see things like recession and inflation impacting their earnings. And that typically affects stocks significantly. I think Netflix was down 20%, even though they beat earnings, and primarily because the projections were that people were unsubscribing in the future. So be careful about earnings. Pay attention to these dates, and just be careful. So let me show you where you can always get the current list of top stocks. You can download files, you can download a PDF. If you go to profitableswingtrading.com, you can click on this link here, and you can get a PDF file or an Excel spreadsheet of this week's stock watch list. Now this contains only, oh, come on. This contains last week, so you can click here and get last week's. By the time you watch this video, week 4 will be up there for your availability. So that's where you can get this material. I hope this helps. Like I asked before, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel if this helps. Hope you have a great week, and we will talk to you again next week. Bye-bye.